We're reviewing this afternoon the CA coming to retrieve the instruments, the cassettes at the unit, because the patient has now left. The clinician that saw the patient has removed all gross debris. Cement and composites have all been wiped off the instruments, and instrument cassettes are now closed, so the CA will retrieve the instrument cassettes. She makes sure everything is closed before she even comes to get it, because that's the indication that the student is done. She retrieves it with the red tub, and then can use the 12 o'clock station to put the red tub on, again because that'll be disinfected. And she'll walk this out to the sterilization and Mila washer area. We'll come out and review what she's doing at the Mila. Hold on just a second and you'll have a better view. There we go. Okay, she's taking the packaged cassette, the cassette itself, out and going to place it into the Mila, being sure she only pushes the key button on the front of the Mila. That's how you open the door. Bringing out the cassette, she happens to have hygiene cassettes, so they get placed in vertically in their rows. Do you have another hygiene cassette, or is that an ultrasonic?
I had a ultrasonic one, but I just have a hygiene one as of right now.
Okay.
I'll have some loose instruments as well.
Right. So loose instruments go into the package, the plastic container, and get placed horizontally again in the basket that you can see that's separated for loose instruments. We'll go down and look inside the Mila, because there is a arm, a washing arm, rinsing arm, that you have to be sure when you close the Mila. And would you spin that arm so we can see where it is, so that the height of the cassettes does not interfere with the spinning of the arm. If we put EFTA cassettes in there vertically, as we have done with the hygiene, they would actually interfere with the spinning of that arm that's to rinse these instruments. This is a washer, an instrument washer machine. So this is the EFTA instrument cassette, and the arm would hit upon it and stop, and we would get an error message on the top. So that needs to go horizontally, and then you can see it's not even as tall as the hygiene cassette. When you're ready to actually start the load, and that would only happen at the very end when everyone else is done. Otherwise, you just let the door retract on its own, and it awaits. As you can see on the front of the Mila, there are different blinking lights. So the green blinking light is your start-stop button, but that is truly just the button to start the Mila's processing. The button below it that has the key and the yellow light is the one that you will push to open the door. It's impulsive to reach for the green light. Try to avoid doing that. You get error messages. Okay. If you had titanium instruments, they can withstand the high heat. The instrument cassettes are always handled with the personal protective equipment of all of your personal protective equipment, and because this is a potential sharp, a sharp or a chemical is when you use utility gloves, and this has the potential of an instrument point sticking out beyond the cassette. So Tricia's attired appropriately to protect herself.
At this time, we would be ready to, if the Mila was completely filled or at the end of our session, then we would push the 1 button, and as Diane mentioned, the start or stop. In this case, we're starting the Mila.
And where was the 1 button again?
The 1 button is right here.
Okay. And then the start is that blinking green.
The Mila instrument washer will run for a duration of about 1 hour and 5 minutes. So at this time, we will take you as if the Mila has completed its cycle, and now we're going to get ready to do instrument packaging and wrap. I'm going to open the Mila, even though when the Mila is completed, it will open, as you can see beside me, automatically to let the steam escape, and it will pop open. This is an indication that the cycle is done. But because we have not run a cycle, as this is just our video, I'm actually going to push the key button to open this back up. When the instruments come out, they are completely dry. Make sure that you do close the Mila. It will latch on its own. Now we are going to move into the instrument packaging area. For the instrument packaging area, you want to make sure that you're selecting the appropriate packaging, whether it's a pouch or making a package that is suitable for the size of the cassette. So this is an adequate size to go in for a hygiene cassette. Notice when I compare, this might be a little bit more difficult to seal the ends and adequately put this cassette inside of this pouch. So for our EFTA and dental assisting sets, we will utilize, which is underneath, blue wrap. I will start with the hygiene pouch first, then I'll do the DA and the EFTA cassette. Starting with the hygiene cassette. We found the adequate pouch. We want to make sure that we look on the side of the cassette to see a number, as this provides an identification for whose cassette this is. So I'm going to do my labeling first. My labeling goes on the paper side. I'm going to start with a piece of indicator tape. And again, this is not a clinic cassette. This is owned by somebody. So I'm going to start with their number on the side of the cassette, which is number 22. I'm going to start with the date of today's date. I'm going to make an S. An S indicates for the sterilization number. Our autoclaves here all have a number. They are 1 through 6. So depending on what sterilizer this pouch goes into will determine what that number will be. I'm also going to make an L. An L indicates the load number. Was it the first load, the second load, or a third load in that sterilizer? If you would like, you may place some gauze and cotton rolls not inside of the cassette, but on the outside of the cassette. Notice that our pouches have an external and an internal indication for that they have been sterilized. You will notice that these will change color. You're noticing a pink hue. Once this pouch has been sterilized, it should come out brown. Again, because I'm touching a sharp cassette, there's a potential for an injury, so I'm still in my full PPE equipment. For our pouches, they have a seal. And now this pouch is almost ready to go in the sterilizer once I indicate which sterilizer and load number it will be. I'm going to place it on a metal tray. We utilize pouches for hygiene cassettes. We have a variety of sizes of pouches up above that can be utilized to sterilize single item instruments. You could sterilize gauze, cotton roll, and other equipment that we utilize here. The next is our DA and EFTA packaging. And we're going to package this cassette up like gift wrapping. First, I'm going to label it. I'm going to put a piece of indicator tape on the inside of the package because it does not have, for the wrap, the internal indicator. I can turn this over if I'd like to and go ahead and now label my package. Again, if this cassette belongs to an individual, it will have an identification number on it, which it does. It says 70. So I will not identify it as a clinic item, but we'll place 70. Again, today's date. I am putting an S, which with a number sign to indicate what sterilizer this is going into, as well as the load number. Notice I am not placing indicator tape on the outside of here because I'm going to package this cassette. So I'll use some indicator tape to do that. It's as if I'm gift wrapping here. So a piece of indicator tape goes on the inside, as well as we have indicator tape on the outside. That is our external and internal monitoring for our sterilization. Now, this is a package instrument, which I can put my L a little bit so we can see it better. And look at the difference between the pouches. So this is a pouch, this is a package. They will go through our autoclaves, not together, but separately. There are certain items that can only withstand certain heat and pressure. So pouches go in a separate type of load in the autoclave. Packages do, as well as you can see, we do have gloves as well.